Hello and welcome back to The Creative Catholics, a podcast on creativity, faith, and the hidden life. I'm your host, Alex Cahill. Before we begin, I want to thank Marie Miller for letting us use her beautiful music for the intro and outro, and a huge thank you to Riverside that sponsored this episode. If you're interested in recording or editing audio files, please check out Riverside in the description and in the show notes. Today, I want to continue our mini-series on our creative God. As important as it is to celebrate and learn from human artists, I believe we also need to pause and stand in awe of the eternal artist himself. Sometimes before we create anything of beauty, we simply just need to behold it. So for just a moment, allow your eyes to rest and your imagination to open. Unless you're driving, then, dear traveler, please keep watching the road ahead. But imagine you're standing in a small chapel in Santa Fe, New Mexico. The world outside is bright with desert light, but in here, everything is very hushed. The noise of the streets have disappeared. Sunlight is filtering through the stained glass windows, casting pools of sapphires and rubies and gold onto worn wooden floors. Dust hangs in the air like incense, dancing in the beams of light. And you breathe it in. There's old timber, stone, wax, and you can feel the prayers in the air. The kind of silence that churches seem to remember. And you slowly lift your eyes, and then you see it. At first, your mind doesn't quite understand what your eyes are looking at. It rises gently from the floor, not like a staircase built to conquer gravity, but almost as if it has grown from the wooden floorboards. It twists upward in two graceful spirals, each curve drawing your gaze higher than the last. There is no heaviness to it, no sense of strain. It doesn't seem to force its way toward the choir loft. It simply rises, like a vine reaching for the sun or smoke ascending from an altar. You instinctively begin searching for the trick. Where is the central pillar? How is it held together? Surely there must be steel hidden somewhere in the staircase. Surely there's something your eyes have missed. But the longer you look, the less interested you become in solving it. Instead, another question quietly enters your heart. Why is this so beautiful? Not just useful, because usefulness satisfies the mind, but beauty awakens the soul. And perhaps that's because beauty speaks a language older than words. The Book of Wisdom tells us, from the greatness and beauty of created things comes a corresponding perception of their creator. Notice what Scripture is saying. Beauty is not a distraction from God. Beauty is one of his chosen languages. Every sunset, every snowflake, every mountain, every piece of sacred music that brings tears to your eyes, every cathedral that makes you instinctively whisper instead of speak. They are all speaking, but not about themselves. They're speaking about God. St. Augustine, after a lifetime of searching everywhere except God, finally cried out, "Late have I loved you, beauty ever ancient, ever new. Late have I loved you." Think about that. He doesn't simply call God all-powerful. He doesn't call him king or judge or creator. He calls him beauty, because Augustine had discovered something that perhaps we've forgotten sometimes. We do not simply think our way to God. Very often, we're first captivated. Children know this instinctively. If you show a child the stars for the first time, or the sea, or a butterfly resting on their hands, just watch what happens. Wonder arrives before explanation. They delight in it before they try to analyze anything. Perhaps this is why Jesus said, "Unless you turn and become like children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven." Because children still know how to be astonished. And adults often feel the need to explain everything. But mystery is not the enemy of faith. Mystery is where faith learns to kneel. The staircase before us that we were imagining has become famous because no one is entirely sure how it came to be. The Sisters of Loretto in New Mexico had built their beautiful chapel in the late 19th century, only to discover there was no way to reach the choir loft. And architects told them that they believed the space was too small for a conventional staircase. So the sisters did what Catholics always do when every earthly answer runs out. They pray. And they prayed for 9 days. They entrusted the impossible problem to St. Joseph, who was obviously the quiet carpenter of Nazareth, whose hands had once shaped wood while Jesus was playing and learning from him. And on the final day of their novena, a stranger appeared. And he carried very simple tools. And he told the sisters he would build the staircase, but he would like to work in complete privacy. So weeks later, he stepped away from his work and he left behind one of the most extraordinary staircases in the world. And then he disappeared. And the sisters tried to find him so that they could pay him. But they had no name. And no one in the town had seen him or knew his name. He hadn't bought materials from anybody. There was no explanation. And the sisters started to think, was it St. Joseph himself? And now, importantly, the church has never claimed that because she leaves room for wonder without demanding certainty. And in the end, whether heaven sent an angel or whether they sent St. Joseph himself or whether divine providence guided the hands of an unknown carpenter, the greater question is not who built it, but why does it move us? Why does a staircase make grown men and women stand in silence? Why do pilgrims travel thousands of miles just to look at carved wood? And the answer cannot simply be engineering. No, something much, much deeper is happening here. Because the human heart has always recognized beauty before it understands it. Perhaps the greatest miracle isn't that a staircase seems to rise without a visible support. Perhaps the greatest miracle is that the human heart, so often weighed down by sin and disappointment, and grief, and the thousands of small burdens of ordinary life, still rises whenever it encounters true beauty. Why? Because beauty remembers where we came from. Long before there were deserts, long before chapels or carpenters, there was a garden, a place where humanity walked with God in the cool of the evening, where nothing was broken, where everything was radiant with his presence. Every beautiful thing we encounter in this world still carries the faint scent of Eden, a Bach concerto, the smile of a saint, the hush of Eucharistic adoration, the laughter of a child, a Gothic cathedral reaching heavenward, or a wooden staircase that seems almost to float. Each one awakens something ancient within us, a homesickness we cannot quite explain. As C.S. Lewis observed, the sweetest moments in this life are not the thing itself. They are only the scent of a flower we have not found, the echo of a tune we have not heard, the news from a country we have never yet visited. Every beautiful thing whispers the same single word to us, home. Perhaps that's why this staircase has captivated people for nearly a century and a half. Not because it appears to defy gravity, but because without saying anything, it reminds us that we were made to ascend. If we look at it again, every curve invites your eyes a little bit higher. The first step leads to the next, to the next, to the next, until almost without noticing, you're no longer looking at the floor beneath your feet, you're looking upward, toward heaven. And isn't that the purpose of every truly Catholic work of art? It's not simply to impress us, but to lift us. St. Bonaventure once wrote that the whole created world is, quote, a ladder by which we may ascend to God. And I love that image, not because creation is God, it isn't, but because creation bears his fingerprints. And perhaps that's why beauty has such a peculiar effect on us. It doesn't satisfy us, it awakens us. Have you ever noticed that? You stand before a breathtaking mountain range. I remember the first time I saw the Rocky Mountains. You're in complete awe. You hear a piece of sacred music that brings tears to your eyes. You gaze upon Michelangelo's Pieta. You watch the sun disappear beneath the horizon. For one fleeting moment, everything seems exactly as it should be. And then the moment passes. Why? Because beauty was never meant to be clutched or held onto in this world. It was meant to point. Every beautiful thing leaves us wanting more because every beautiful thing is only an echo. It's an echo of Eden. It's an echo of heaven. It's an echo of our home. Perhaps we've been asking the wrong question all along. People travel to Santa Fe asking, how was the staircase built? But maybe the better question is, what is God still building? Because the most astonishing work of craftsmanship God has ever undertaken isn't hidden inside a chapel. It's hidden inside the human soul. The God who shaped galaxies, who imagined color and who taught trees how to grow, who inspired unknown hands to fashion something so beautiful, has not stopped creating. He is still patiently shaping hearts. He's still sanding away pride and carving away fear. He's still making saints. And perhaps that is why the staircase moves us, not because it's impossible, but because somewhere deep within us, we recognize the hand of the Master Carpenter. So perhaps the next time you find yourself standing before something beautiful, a mountain at sunrise, or the laughter of a child, or the silence of a beautiful, peace-filled chapel, or a humble wooden staircase that has quietly lifted hearts for generations, don't rush past it. Stay. Look a little longer. It's the language of heaven spoken in the accents of earth. A gentle translation of eternity into something our finite hearts can only just begin to understand. Every beautiful thing carries not a piece of God, but the imprint of his generosity, a reflection of his glory, a glimpse of his wisdom, a whisper of the infinite beauty from which all created beauty flows. The saints understood this. They never stopped just at creation. They let creation lead them to the Creator. They heard in every birdsong an echo of heaven. They saw in every flower the extravagance of divine love. They looked at the stars and recognized the signature of the artist. Perhaps that's why the staircase has endured, not because it answers every question, but because it awakens the right questions. Who is this God who doesn't merely solve problems, but answers them with true beauty? A God who doesn't simply provide, but delights. Who fashions a universe where even wood can become a hymn of praise? Perhaps the staircase was never meant to be admired as an engineering marvel. Perhaps it was meant to become a window, because every true window is forgotten the moment you see what lies beyond it. And every beautiful thing in this world is a window. If you look through it, you'll begin to catch the light of heaven, the light for which every human heart has always been searching. Because beauty has always been the language of heaven. And every time it catches us by surprise, it's the Creator gently reminding us, this is only the beginning. Until next time, stay creative and keep making what matters most.